Hello and welcome to a new video. In today's video we're going to take a look at 10 Pokemon that are currently not released yet, but that are going to have basically the highest remaining CP limit. And what I have to say with this one as well is we're not going to take a look at any Mega Evolution, we're not going to take a look at Eternatus Eternatus, which has like 9000 CP. Yeah, cool, that's great, but like it's never gonna be in the game like this, for sure not, because it's never even been in the main series games like this. We're gonna take a look at Pokemon that have been kinda like this in the main series games at least. And so today we're gonna take a look at 10 Pokemon with the highest CP that are not released yet in Pokemon Go. If you want to see more videos like this, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like. But we're also going to take a look mainly at the Go Battle League today as well, and the Pokemon going to be good in the Master League, just because it's the easiest to check. But we also can talk a little bit about like rates and stuff like this. But let's move on right into the first one. This is going to be the legendary Pokemon of the last generation, Koraidon. This Pokemon getting up to 4491 CP, going to be quite a decent one, getting up kind of where the other Dragon-type Pokemon are as well, that are legendary. And with the moveset of Dragon Tail as well as the Dragon Claw as well as Close Combat, going to be a very interesting Pokemon. Most likely not going to be the best Pokemon, generally speaking, for at least the Dragon typing, but could be actually a really good fighting type attacker for raids as well. And also, this Pokemon, like nearly every single Pokemon on this list, by the way, is going to have a signature move as well. That's going to be, in this case, a fighting type move, Collision Course, I think it's called, which might even completely change the Pokemon as well again and makes it even better than it is currently. But with the current moveset, it already looks like a very good Pokemon, so definitely an interesting one. Would love to say that goes the same for the next Pokemon as well here, but it's not the case. Miraidon, well, the moveset it currently has doesn't have any play. Like, this Pokemon is going to be maybe cool electric type attacker, that could be the case. Like, for this one it's going to be okay, but also again you have Zacian and stuff like this, like they are going to be a little bit better most likely. We have Thunder Shock as well as Thunder, at least for the raids, but other than this, for PvP it's not going to be a good Pokemon. It doesn't really have a great typing either. Thunder Shock might be the one way on how this Pokemon can save itself for PvP, but it needs a better charge move, because Outrage Thunder is way too much energy needed for both of them. So yeah, we have to see. Again, this Pokemon also has a signature move, so that may be gonna come into the game as well when this Pokemon gets released. But currently Miraidon definitely way worse than Koraidon, but has the same CP. Going up by your 1 CP, and you're gonna see different stats on PvPoke when you look up this Pokemon. This is something that a lot of people don't really understand. Currently, a lot of the data for Pokemon are already in the code, but not all of the data. And then again, not all of the data is correct. For example, any Pokemon I think that gets at level 40 over 4000 CP, which is the case for this Pokemon here, get a 9% decrease of their stats. And basically here this Pokemon would get over 5000 CP currently on PvPoke if you want to check it out. But this is without the 9% nerf, which I do think is going to be happening at least when this Pokemon gonna get released like this, if it ever gets released. Palafin Hero only gonna appear like this in this form if the Palafin swaps out the normal variant basically. Then this Pokemon basically appears, and after it would actually be definitely worth it to have this Pokemon for the Open Master League when this actually gonna be ever released. Here's, by the way, the shiny form in the top right corner, because I couldn't find any GIF for the normal variant of this Pokemon. But Palafin Hero, it would be amazing when this Pokemon gonna get released here. And again, like 5000 CP would be the current one that is currently in the code, but I would assume that the 9% nerf is coming into place, which we take a look at here, because I feel like that's way more likely that's going to happen like any Pokemon. There's not a single exception other than I think Mega Evolutions, where like basically the 9% barrier did not change, like basically where you don't get a 9% decrease. Every other Pokemon in the game currently gets 9% decrease if it gets over a certain amount of CP, like 4000 CP I think it is, at level 40. And this would be one of the Pokemon, which currently is not in the code, but it has happened a lot of times in the basically history of Pokemon Go. The Pokemon didn't get the change before they get released, and then like literally just before it gets released, they changed the CP to what it is supposed to be, which is in this case 4492 CP, which is just a tiny bit better by 1 CP than the other Pokemon that we just take a look over. Next up, this is the only Pokemon here that we, by the way, not going to have any kind of information towards, because it's not in the code, and I felt like it is going to be a Pokemon that's very unclear what's going to be actually happening like this. Again, you could even make up the case again that, okay, this might be a Pokemon that never gonna be released like this, because how do you really want to do it? This Pokemon I think appears after using the terrestrialization on the Terapagos, which here is the Stellar type as well. we don't know the moveset yet. I made a video before, like over a year ago, I think, when this Pokemon first got kind of released and how good it might be with like different kind of moves. I feel like it doesn't really fit in here right now because for every other Pokemon we actually have already the moveset in the code at least. For this Pokemon we don't have anything in the code yet, but this would be the CP that it would get to, 4655. But again, Terapagos, we have to see on what is actually going to happen for this Pokemon. Very unique one, we have to see on how this is gonna go. Zamazenta Crown Form. Recently I actually already took a look at this Pokemon here because it is a very strong Pokemon. It's still going to come into Pokemon Go. We're going to have Zamazenta here with the Crown Form. It's going to go up to 4717 CP. It has the same move as the normal Zamazenta, but also would have a signature move as well, which it might learn, which I think in this case is Steel typing. And already without the signature move, this Pokemon is absolutely broken. Like, what the hell is this? You have 3 losses in the current main meta, which is Ho-Oh, which is Solgaleo, and which is Groudon, which are the Pokemon that do super effective damage against you. If it's neutral, or if it's like bad against you, yeah, always going to lose. And like with the typing of Fighting and Steel, which is actually really good typing, sadly Lucario just doesn't have great stats. This Pokemon is actually going to be absolutely insane. So yeah, this is gonna be definitely one of the top tier meta threats. A few CP higher, going to be the Calyrex Ice Rider, and I do think that this Pokemon mainly gonna be a thing, currently at least with the current moveset, for raids. That is going to be most likely it, because it's a great Psychic type attacker with a Confusion, Psyshock, Psychic, gonna be okay for that one, but that's basically it. Confusion in the Master League is just not a good fast move, it just doesn't really do it. And so it needs a better fast move in order to be good. Again, it would have a signature move, Glacial Lance, I think it's called, which would be kind of cool for it as well. But again, Avalanche is actually a really, really strong move. Like, Avalanche is as good as Psy Strike from Mewtwo, so it's not about the charge moves yet. The charge moves are okay, especially Energy Ball as a coverage move can be also kind of cool, but this Pokemon just needs a better fast move, and it might be a decent one, but also Psychic and Ice is a very difficult typing to use. Moving on, we're going to have Eternatus, not the, whatever the other form was, where you have 9000 CP. This is the standard Eternatus, which actually after the nerf gets up to 5007 CP, which is really good. Like, honestly, 5007 CP is, I think, nearly the highest legendary Pokemon so far that is not fused with anything. I think that is the title for this Pokemon. When it's gonna get released, also has an interesting move pool currently, with Dragon Tail, the Poison Jab, the Cross Poison, Dragon Pulse, and Flamethrower. I would mostly run Flamethrower over Dragon Pulse here, if you run Dragon Tail as well, just to have a bit better coverage. Also has a signature move as well, which is going to be most likely an interesting one there as well. I think it's Eterna Beam, I think it has even 2 or something, I don't actually know. But it definitely has minimum of 1 signature moves. And this Pokemon already looks like a really good one, while not looking broken, which I like. So like, you have a 5000 CP Pokemon that is definitely solid, but it's not gonna be absolutely broken, and that is really cool to see. So with this Pokemon you can definitely kind of build on top of, but like, it's still already a good one, but it's not broken, but it's gonna give you a lot of uniqueness in there with the Poison and Dragon typing. So whenever this Pokemon gonna get released, you're mostly gonna see a showcase on this channel, because it looks like a fantastic Pokemon to run. Next up, this is going to be even better. I actually made a mistake here, which is kind of... I'm sorry, I'm gonna fix it real quick. Okay, we're back here. I forgot to change the typing of the Pokemon. This Pokemon is currently not visible on a PvPoke, even though the stats as well as the moveset is currently in the code. It just, I think, something that PvPoke missed to add. And yeah, Calyrex Shadow Rider currently has the Confusion takedown, like the other form as well. Psyshock, Psychic, and Energy Ball is also the same, and then it has Shadow Ball instead of the Avalanche. Of course, here Shadow Ball is going to be the stab move, but Avalanche is just significantly better, and while this Pokemon gets up to 5132 CP, you see on how much CP actually matter, because this Pokemon is still actually quite bad. So yeah, again, it's not really that important sometimes on what CP you have, it's more the typing plus the move pool that you have. And both typing as well as move pool is kind of bad for this Pokemon. Psychic and Ghost you already see from the Necrozma Dawn Wings, and the Necrozma Dawn Wings is way less common as the Dusk Main because of mainly the typing. Even though the Steel type is offensively pretty bad, it is so much better defensively than Psychic and Ghost, as Psychic and Ghost has 2 double weaknesses of Ghost as well as Dark, which is going to be very difficult to deal with in the current meta. And so yeah, Calyrex Shadow Rider needs a better fast move, needs maybe its signature move, Astral Barrage I think it's called. But yeah, this Pokemon currently not as great. And we go on with the CP, but we're gonna go on again with Pokemon that kinda underperform even though they're CP. Like, look at this. This is Necrozma, Ultra Form. Ultra Necrozma you can only get through a signature Z move basically in the main CS games. So I'm not too sure if we're ever gonna get this Pokemon. If we would get this Pokemon, I would absolutely love it. I love the design. I actually really like the idea behind the Pokemon as well. It is one of the craziest end bosses in Pokemon so far, but I am not too sure if we're ever gonna see this in Pokemon Go. If we do, that would be really cool, but most days something like 5 years down the line. But still, this is a form that you can have in the main CS games. You have to even battle in the main CS games. You can only get it after using a Z move though. But this Pokemon is now a Psychic and Dragon type Pokemon. Instead of like the other Psychic type form of Necrozma, you're going to have here Psychic and Dragon. This is the ultimate form of Necrozma, getting up to 5,293 CP, which is the second highest, I think, from all the Pokemon. I think there's one more coming afterwards. And we have Shadow Claw Psycho Cut as Horse moves. Really good. And then we're going to take a look at the charge moves, and that is just really bad. We're going to have Outrage, Dark Pulse, Future Sight, as well as Iron Head. Of course, you kind of want to have Stab Outrage on it, but like then you just don't have the pacing. You don't have really bulk with this Pokemon, which you see as well. Even though this CP are 5,293, the actual overall stat product is not that great because you're actually quite squishy. You just do a lot of damage. And if you do a lot of damage, you need a cheap move, and you just don't have a cheap move here, which makes this Pokemon not actually ideal, which is kind of funny. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this one, and we can move on to the final one. By quite a bit, the CP of Zacian Crown Form is ridiculous at 5,629. Yeah, like this Pokemon is absolutely insane. Plus 500 CP nearly from the last one, which is ridiculous for a Pokemon that is very likely gonna come into the game. I don't know on when and how, but this thing is madness. Like this thing is madness. 27 wins, 8 losses. Only lose again against like Pokemon that are super effective against us. And yeah, with Metal Claw as a fast move, there are other options as well. If you, for example, want to win against Solgaleo on the Necrozma Dusk main, you can go for the Fire Fang. If you want to win against the Zygarde, you can go for Play Rough on this Pokemon. There are so many options, like just the normalization because it's the same moveset, but you have a better typing with Fire and Steel, which is arguably the best typing in Pokemon. There's actually something I want to do as well in terms of doing a typing chart and on how I would rank types in Pokemon Go. But yeah, this is going to be the best Pokemon that is not released yet. Zacian Crown Form, highest CP level. Of course, again, there are Mega Evolutions that haven't been released with higher CP, but I don't really count them towards it. I only count like Pokemon that could be like this in the base form. And so, yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Which Pokemon are you most excited about that is not released in the game yet? Which you want to see in the game? Let me know down below, and I will see you then. Bye bye.